these Japanese soldiers encountered these giants at their camps and stuff at night. These giant men, which were reported to be 8 to 15 feet tall, red hair, would come and just eat the Japanese soldiers, rip them apart, and just eat them right there on the spot.
Like no cooking.
No cooking. Just destroyed them. It's Giants of Solomon Islands.
Again?
Yes.
They're back?
Because I was so fascinated by Corey's story. I'm like, I want to hear more if there's like more encounters and stuff. Apparently, there's rich history of giants regarding the Solomon Islands.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm going to take you back on this little journey through history. So Vietnam started taking over the Solomon Islands because they were going to be a pivotal region of islands to cut off trades with like Australia and stuff. So they're just trying to take over the whole Pacific at this point, right?
Cool.
They get to the Solomon Islands. Specifically, this story regards Guadalcanal, which Corey talked about.
Right.
Which is one of the islands, or this part of the island, Big Island. And they were there, right? And then the U.S. came, and they came to Guadalcanal, and there was no Japanese to be seen.
Uh-oh.
So they were coming in thinking that it was going to be like a...
ambush.
Yeah, like a D-Day kind of thing, where they're going to have to fight and stuff to get claim over Guadalcanal. No resistance. They just pulled up to the beach. They're like, where are all the Japanese soldiers?
You gotta be kidding me.
Turns out all the Japanese soldiers
We're dead.
were in the woods or the forests of the Solomon Islands, this Guadalcanal. And what the locals had said was that these Japanese were picked off by giants.
Yeah.
And talking about, like, so the Japanese go in there, and they were attacking the U.S. soldiers as the U.S. soldiers were coming in. But a lot of Japanese soldiers surrendered to
they're like,
the
get me
U.S.
out of
troops,
here, please.
which is not what the Japanese army would do at that time, because what did they say? It was the Japanese said that survival after defeat was a disgrace. So basically, instead of surrendering, the custom for a Japanese soldier was to kill themselves with the knife.
The short sword.
Yeah. But they surrendered because they were apparently so freaked out of what was happening.
Yeah.
But supposedly these giants, these Japanese soldiers encountered these giants at their camps and stuff at night. These giant men, which were reported to be 8 to 15 feet tall, red hair, would come and just eat the Japanese soldiers, rip them apart, and just eat them.
Yeah.
Right there on the spot.
Like
And
no
so-
cooking.
No cooking. Just destroyed them and
Hey,
stuff.
sushi. They get it. They get it, obviously. But like, this is horrifying, but I get it. It's fresh.
But the history of the Solomon Islands, dark history. This place was really creepy. Kind of like how Papua New Guinea was. Solomon Islands were probably even worse.
Like cannibalism-wise?
Cannibalism, headhunters, all these different tribes at constant war with each other. When they were killed, they were bringing back, eat them, bad stuff.
Jeez.
And then the 1800s, missionaries started coming, and a lot of them died and were killed and eaten and stuff. But over progression, the people of the Solomon Islands ended up accepting Christ and getting rid of their old ways. Yeah. And so they moved, but this is the crazy part too. The majority of the locals that lived on the Solomon Islands before they turned to Christianity lived up in forts high up in the trees.
Yeah.
And they say because of animals and because of the creatures
to
that
be above them.
Yeah, they can't climb, right?
I don't know.
Just push over the tree.
But here's the crazy thing too. The locals say that these giants, they let out these giant bellows throughout the night, and to show their might and stuff, they'll literally rip trees out of the ground. And so after this whole conversion stuff, a lot of them moved from the dense forest to the coast. Mm-hmm. And even today, a lot of the locals, like all of them, do not venture into the center of the island where the forests are.
Really?
Because they're like, yes, giants live in there. They said, we don't go in there.
So it's just a known thing historically, like there. It's like all the locals know.
It's not even, they're like, it's not a myth. They're here.
Yeah.
And
it's like the dinosaur in the Congo. The people that are just completely convinced.
Yeah. But there's an island across the way from Guadalcanal, part of the Solomon Islands called Malita, the Malita Island. I probably mispronounced that, whatever. But supposedly this island is more riddled with giants. In fact, they say that these giants live in the cave systems that go underneath the island. And a lot of locals say that these islands connect to the majority of the Solomon Islands. So it's an underground cave system that connects to all these islands in the Solomon Islands.
And the same theories that happen in America. Golly.
But this one local of Malita, his name is Ishmael. He says that he's a descendant from one of these giants.
No way.
Yeah, and he tells the stories of like the wars and battles that the people of the Solomon Islands had with the giants. But a crazy thing is, it was in 1950. There was a local woman. Her name was Mango, and she had gone missing. She just went missing. No. She reappeared 25 years later.
Pregnant.
When they found her, she was not right in the head. They said she was foaming at the mouth, unclothed, and they said, largely pregnant. And it said that it took them a while to get her and bring her back to the village to help her.
Yeah.
And she didn't really speak for the rest of her life. She passed away in 2000.
Oh, that's so sad.
But she barely spoke because something broke in her brain. But what she did say was that she was kidnapped in 1950 by a giant and forced to be this giant's wife and became impregnated by this giant. Mango had the child, and the whole village was freaked out of what this child looked like. That at 5 years old, Mango's brother ended up unaliving the child.
That's horrible.
Because they're like, this is the giants. We don't want to continue this race of giants or whatever. But supposedly these giants, they come in and they do kidnap women and force them to be their wives, and to where they have continued to live and thrive within the Solomon Islands.
How do you go missing for 25 years on an island?
Yeah.
And survive? Like, like that doesn't... Oh, man, dude.
Yeah.
That's so wacky.
Crazy stuff.
Horrible.
But there's also this creature from the video I was watching. There's this creature called the Kakamora.
That's from Moana.
Is it?
I've heard that word before.
It's the coconut critters.
Oh, well, this thing is like a Bigfoot creature.
Oh.
That also lives in the Solomon Islands. The theory is there's just multiple hybrid, like, human things that live in these islands.
Yeah, it's a breeding ground.
Yeah. But the Kakamora, they said it's basically like a 4 to 5 foot Bigfoot, and it goes in and kidnaps children and eats them.
Josh, what are you doing right now?
I'm just telling the story of how scary this place is.
That is terrifying. I'm just imagining this like dense little buff 5'4", like, I mean, just
like a Tasmanian devil
grabbing kids. That's terrifying, man.
But supposedly they make these, like, they commute, like, their language is like this cackling.
Stop.
And the villagers all around the Solomon Islands talk about how they hear them in the woods at night gather together, and they cackle talk and even sing songs in their cackling. But
give me your best cackle. It would be scary. Dude, that's...
Stop!